Well, to those of you streaming from all over the world, once again, thank you so much for being a part of what's happening in these days with us and joining together on a special day. I got to be honest, I was sure hoping we'd be together by Mother's Day. That was just kind of a prayer I was praying, Lord, come on, let this thing just, flatten the curve, whatever. You just got to, let us be together for Mother's Day. And I don't know why I picked Mother's Day. I think it was because I know how much it means to you. In fact, let me explain. I normally have jeans and a sport coat. I have a suit. I haven't put a suit on in a while and tied a tie on. But I did it for Mom. And not just my mom, but all the moms. I don't know. I just felt like I need to dress up today. In some way, trying to honor you. I know this probably doesn't help me much, but if I get a brownie point, hey, I'll take whatever I can get. Guys, this is a season where this is probably one of the most needed Mother's Day ever. I mean, think about it. Moms, what you have been through in the last couple of months, I cannot imagine it. I mean, literally, I cannot imagine it. I mean, I heard about one mom that she saw the good in this. She said, I finally saw something good in this whole thing, in the online, distance learning and all of that. She said, I learned that the average 5-year-old asks 437 questions a day. And I have learned that my 5-year-old is above average. That's awesome. Maybe you've learned how to cut your husband's sandwiches in little shapes and designs, or maybe you've learned how to plate lunch and breakfast and dinner with food that doesn't touch each other. I mean, I don't know what it is that you have learned through this season, but I can tell you, you have been in an incredible place with everything placed upon you. That now, not only mom, not only wife, you have become teacher. And everything has been dumped in your lap. And if there was ever a day we need to say thank you, we needed to encourage you, it's today that we want to reach out, because we think that even though you're smiling and even though you're on the outside, it's all good, everything's great, we think maybe on the inside it might be like this woman's video.
Hi, everybody. Just thought I'd give you a quick update. I think we're on day, I don't know, whatever day it is. But I just want to tell you that here at home, we're just having such a great time. Everybody is just wonderful. They, we get up in the morning and we're just so fortunate with how well we get along and spending all this time together. We're doing puzzles, we're helping each other. In times like this, it just brings everybody close to the next level. The kids are in their 20s. I've been married to Charlie for, 28 years. And I just can't, I'm just overwhelmed with appreciation of who we are as a family. And I just cannot wait for the next 4 weeks that we're just going to be here at home. And I'm just really fortunate. So I thought I'd give you a quick update. So,
moms, my goal and our goal today is to give help, to give encouragement. And I know you're going to be, when you hear the text, you hear the passage of Scripture that I've chosen, if you were in the room, you might want to leave the room. Here's the text, Proverbs 31. Now, if you know anything about the Bible, if you know anything about Scripture, Proverbs is the book of wisdom. It's written by Solomon, the wisest man of all time. And he writes this book, and he concludes it with chapter 31, in which he describes a woman. Now, he had a lot of wives. Okay, you got to keep that in mind. Solomon had a lot of wives, a lot of servants. He speaks to the fact that a woman is this incredible super mom. I mean, literally, it reads like a superhero. And I want to make sure, I want to caution you. From verse 10 to the end of the chapter, if you've got a Bible, if you've got a device, if you've got a way to go to it, it's right in the middle of the Bible. It's right after Psalms. And see if you can find Psalm 31. Ladies, some of you know it. You know exactly where it is because the thought of being compared to this woman is horrifying to you. But trust me, I'm not going to compare you to her. And that's not the point of this. In fact, I think you're going to end up with me and you're going to be encouraged. And we see those signs for help. And I believe that God has a word for you, an encouraging word for you. What you need to remember is verse 10 through the end of this chapter is an epilogue. Epilogue just means final words, okay? The epilogue. Now, it is in the style of Hebrew poetry. They would use the first letter to start the sentence. They would use a different letter of the alphabet. So using the Hebrew alphabet, they would write using each letter to begin the next thought or the next sentence. This is exactly what's happened. And the reason they would do that is because it would help you remember it. And what I believe is happening here is that it is this beautiful description in their culture, in their setting of moms and women and just the value and the incredible honor that ought to be given to women. Now, I want us to drill down just for a second with the whole book open and the chapter open. Would you just start with verse 28 with me? Because it's in verse 28 that everything kind of changes and moves. In fact, let me tell you something. There's only one thing in here that somebody's told to do something. And guess what? Moms, it's not you. He doesn't tell you to do this and do that. No. He tells us. The command is for us. And the command is to honor you and to give thanks for you. So watch. Verse 28. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands. Let her works praise her in the gates. Now let me give you some thoughts, Mom, on this Mother's Day. Number one, no mom can do everything. This was not written to say you need to do all these things. It wasn't. The first thing, it's not prescriptive, it's descriptive, which basically means it's describing different women, and the only prescriptive in it, the only admonition is for us to do something to honor you. The second thing, it's not about one woman. It's about many. I mean, literally, it's about many. You take verses 10 through verse 27, it's describing all kinds of women. But verse 27 gives us a clue, and I know we didn't read it, but verse 27 says this: she looks well to the ways of her household. You know what I think that means? You don't worry about somebody else's household and trying to be like them. Just because another woman sold a field and bought a field, just because another woman made all the garments for her children. I mean, literally, there are all kinds of incredible things in this chapter. You look after the ways of your household. You know the ways of your household. I think one of the most deadly things that happens today, especially with social media, is we compare. And Mom, some of you are going through that even now with the quarantine and all that's happening in distance learning. You feel like, man, I've just failed my kids. I've failed everything. Because you're reading about moms that all of a sudden made a wardrobe. They sewed a new wardrobe for their kids, or they knitted, or they crocheted something, or they remodeled the house, or they overhauled the engine in the car. I mean, you see these crazy things that make you feel like, I did nothing. I mean, I couldn't even get through a math lesson. But you know your family. Look well to the ways of your family. And don't let others trap you in that thought of, you're not like them. You're not as good as them. Yeah, you are. Because it's not about them. Then he says in verse 28, he moves and he changes kind of the idea, which I think brings us to the key of the whole chapter, and that's verse 30. Verse 30 basically is the key. Charm is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord, she's to be praised. Verse 28 says her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, he praises her. All right, now let's think about that a moment. Charm is deceitful. The Hebrew word for charm basically meant to pretend. It meant to turn on. I mean, it's just like our sense of the word charm, turn on the charm. You pretend to be somebody you're not. You know, the most beautiful thing about you, Mom, is you. Being real. Not trying to cover with charm, but literally letting the real you come through because God made you that way. God gifted you that way. So charm can be deceptive. You end up asking the question, well, which mom is she? The one we see on this day or the one we see other days? Charm is deceptive. Beauty is in vain. You know what that means? It's actually the word fleeting. Most translations will use the word fleeting, like a time reference. It basically means beauty, it's here one minute, it's gone the next. I mean, it doesn't last. I can just tell you beauty is a moving target. Here's why. Not only does it not last, but it's relative. What do I mean by that? What's beautiful to somebody is not beautiful to somebody else. I mean, think about it. I remember being in Africa, and I was with my interpreter, and when we were in Africa, all of our family was there, and we got to know the interpreter so well. Mine was named Barnabas, a wonderful young man, had a wife and two children. And we were just talking one day. We were just kind of chilling, and I told him, I said, you got a wonderful wife, a lovely wife. And I said, she's beautiful, and your kids are beautiful. You've just got a great situation. And he made a statement like, yes, my wife's legs are big. And I said, excuse me? And he goes, yeah, she's beautiful. I said, wait a minute. What defines beauty in a man's eyes here in Zambia, in the bush of Africa? He said, oh, it's real simple. The bigger her legs, the bigger her thighs. Well, I'm trying to process that. I'm trying to think, I come from a country that's a little different than that. Why is that beautiful? He said, because she can carry more water from the river. She can carry more stuff. She can work harder. And I'm like, oh, now I understand how you define beauty. It's whoever can work the hardest. You see what I mean? Beauty is a moving target. And so it's in vain that you center your life around it and you try your best to be that. No mom can do everything. But listen, every mom can do the main thing. You follow? No mom can do everything, but every mom, you can do the main thing. And what is it? A woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And every mom that is listening, every mom that's streaming in this moment, you can do that. Every mom can do this. And so the word fear of the Lord, what does that mean? It doesn't mean afraid of him, run from him. That's one use of the word fear. It's like terror. But this use of the word fear means first of all to recognize that the creator of the heavens and the earth is with you. Did you know the word actually has the connotation of recognizing there is somebody there? That's what it means to fear. It means to have this incredible sense of awe that somebody is there. There is somebody there with you. It's the God who created the heavens and the earth. It's the one who made you. And by the way, it's the one who gave you every child you have. And it's the one who loved them before he gave them to you. And it's the one who loves them far more than you ever could. You got to recognize he's there. Second thing fear of the Lord means is realize he alone is God. You are not. He alone is God. You are not. To fear the Lord means you get out of his way. Literally, it means you get out of his way. You're not supermom. And you have to confess that and come to grips with that and be comfortable with that. Even Paul says, it's in my weakness that he's made strong. Mom, it's in your weakness that he is made strong. But that's not what we're told. That's not what we hear in the culture around us. In fact, there's a book written by Philip Slater, and it's called The Pursuit of Loneliness. He basically describes soccer moms, and he says, this is the general feeling of moms, and I would say moms in general. You ready? That everything depends on them doing a good job with their kids. And if they do a good job with their kids, all of their children would be creative, intelligent, kind, generous, happy, brave, spontaneous, and good. And if they don't do their job well, they won't. Now listen to that. It's like it's all up to you. If you don't do your job well, your kids aren't going to turn out well. Can you imagine the pressure? You know the pressure. You feel that pressure. What mom hasn't had the sense of, I should have done something different, or I didn't do enough? I mean, Rachel and I had that conversation yesterday. We were just talking about being a mom, talking about my mom, and it's just crazy. And especially moms, when you've had everything dumped in your lap. Now you're mom and your wife and your teacher. You are the teacher now. I saw this sign held up by mom on day 2 of distance learning. Day 2 of homeschooling. Here's what she said: wondering how I can get a kid transferred out of my class. That is the truth, and some moms feel that. But I want to encourage you. It's not up to you. Is there something for you to do? Yes, fear the Lord. What does that mean? Recognize that he is God and you are not. And you know what? Trust him. If he is, trust him. Fear of the Lord means you trust him. It means you say, okay, I can do this. I can turn it over to him. I can fear him. I can bring it to him, and I can trust him. Martin Luther, the reformer, used to tell, Erasmus was a name that he was a humanistic, brilliant man, but very humanistic. And Luther used to tell him, your God is too manlike. And Luther would say, let God be God. Can I just tell you, let God be God in your home? Piper wrote about this, what it means for a woman to fear the Lord. He said, a woman who fears the Lord will not run away from God to satisfy her longings and to relieve her anxieties. She will wait for the Lord. She will hope in God. She will stay close to the heart of God and trust in his promise. The benefits of abiding in the shadow of the Almighty, too glorious to forsake. So, Mom, you can't do everything, but you can do the main thing. Fear the Lord. Did you know that's how the book of Proverbs started? It started off with this grand idea that if you want to be wise, fear the Lord, for that's the beginning of wisdom. That's where it all starts. That's where it all ends. Fear the Lord. And when you do, the Scripture tells us to praise you. The Scripture tells us to honor you, to give thanks for you. And that's what this day is all about. Moms, fear the Lord. Yeah, charm, it's a little deceptive. Beauty comes and goes. But when you fear the Lord, oh my, it lasts forever. You are the woman to be praised. So let me tell you a story about a young lady who met a guy at a dance. This guy was riding a Harley Davidson when she met him. Came from a family that basically the father was an atheist. And he was a little bit on the wild side. Got into fights a lot. In fact, he carried a scar right down the middle of his face from a fight he got into, and a guy cut him. And they fell in love, much to the dismay of her mom and dad. But they fell in love, and they married. And oh my, he was an alcoholic. He would lose everything they made gambling. And now she has 2 children. She's expecting the third, and she doesn't know what she's going to do. She's living a life trying to please her mom, who's very disappointed in her choice, and she's trying to please a husband that was very difficult to please. And she's working as hard as she can to make ends meet for 2 kids and soon a third. You know what? All of her child-rearing days, she worked. In fact, there was never a year or never months that she wasn't working to try to make it. There were seasons when she was alone because he was away during the week and would come home on weekends. And yet she never quit. She believed. She feared the Lord. She did everything she could. Did she feel like she got it right? No. No. But did she? Yeah. Because you know what? The Lord honored her. He honored her faith. He honored her faith by bringing her husband to Christ. And not only bringing him to Christ, but calling him into ministry to be a pastor. The Lord honored her with all 3 kids following Jesus. And the Lord honored her by always meeting the needs. They never had much. They were very poor. But she never quit fearing the Lord and believing. And today, I'll call her and I'll say, thank you, Mom, for what you did. You didn't do what every mom can do, but you did what every mom must do. You feared the Lord. Thank you, Mom. She's 91, almost 91 now. And I love her dearly, and I thank God she's my mom. I want to encourage you to do the same with your mom. Some of you are walking through the first Mother's Day without mom, and let me tell you, that hurt, that pain is so deep. Could you just thank Jesus right now that you had a wonderful mom? And even if you didn't have a good experience with mom, it's always an opportunity to pray for her if she's still with us. If she's with us, you got to call her. You got to reach out to her. You got to praise her. You got to thank her. Was everything she did right? No. But neither is everything we do right. But thank her for fearing the Lord. Thank her for having faith. And maybe she's with you right now. She's in the room. Thank her. Because I can tell you something. Proverbs 31 is not mostly about a supermom. It's about us making sure we give thanks and we praise her for fearing the Lord. I believe it's every mom's heart desire to leave a testimony. And there's a song you're going to hear right now. Moms, it's for you, but it's for all of you. It just says, if my heart could tell a story, if my life would sing a song, if I have a testimony, if I have anything at all, no one ever cared for me like Jesus. His faithful hand has held me all this way. And when I'm old and gray and all my days are numbered on this earth, let it be known, in you alone, my joy was found. Mom, let it be Jesus. In him alone, your greatest joy is found. Would you just enjoy this moment as we wish all of you moms a wonderful, blessed Mother's Day. May you be praised.